I've been asked by some of my sailing friends to cover helming techniques, and I find this to be actually a daunting subject for a 10-minute video. To be a good helmsman, one needs to be a good sailor in general. Understanding the aerodynamic and hydrodynamic forces at play, understanding sail trim and sail balance, understanding weather, wind, and sea state, and the nuances of the boat you're helming. These are all part of the equation. But I'm going to start with some general tips, and if any viewers feel as though you would benefit from further depth or detail on the subject, please leave a comment to that effect. When taking the helm, I always start by identifying these 5 things: landmarks on the horizon, boat speed, compass heading, apparent wind direction, apparent wind speed. Let's spend some time getting acquainted with this gauge. The top of the circle is the heading of the boat. So north and south is depicted relatively to the heading, which is currently 325 degrees or northwest. The blue line is pointing to where the wind is coming from relative to the heading. In this case, the wind angle is 72 degrees off of the front of the boat. You can pay attention to either apparent wind angle or true wind angle, but apparent wind angle is what you're really actually feeling on your face while sailing. Likewise, the apparent wind speed would be how the wind feels against your face given the current speed and direction your boat is going relative to the wind. If your boat were not moving, apparent wind speed would equal true wind speed. The boat speed tells you if you are making the most out of the conditions you are sailing in. After orienting myself to the instruments and the helm, I then verify the intended course and mentally accept up to a 5-degree variance on either side of that course. A newer helmsman will vary to a wider degree, but this will come with practice. I then start moving my eyes across these 5 inputs in series continuously. At some point, you will settle into a rhythm. I avoid holding a significant conversation with someone, and especially avoid creating eye contact with a conversational crew member, as the boat will tend to go where the eyes point. I find it fun to play a mental exercise around what is the fastest speed you can attain at a particular heading given the conditions. Anything that you can do to make it more a game and make it fun is helpful. The next tip I'd like to cover is avoiding excessive use of the rudder to maintain the course. You will find when sailing that you don't just use the helm to turn the boat, you use it to constantly keep the boat heading in the direction you want and compensating for the forces acting against the boat, such as resistance from the waves and water and leeway created from the wind forces. Leeway is generally created toward the direction opposite from where the wind is coming. If the wind is coming from the starboard side, you can be sure that the boat will end up slightly further to port than where you are pointing. In addition to compensating for the wave action and leeway, there is an additional factor that can greatly impact your boat's speed. Sail balance, where the load on the forward sails is balanced with the load on the sails behind the mast, can significantly create or reduce constant pressure on the helm. The rudder can act very much like a brake, creating resistance in the water on the side of the keel the rudder is turned. To understand sail balance, just imagine the mast is like a long pole that the boat pivots on. If the forward sails are catching more wind and are dealing with heavier forces, the boat will want to turn away from the wind. This is known as lee helm. If the sails behind the mast are carrying greater load or heavier forces, the boat's head will want to turn into the wind which is known as weather helm. Balance is where the sails in front of the mast are trimmed in such a way as to balance the sails trimmed behind the mast. In most cases, we are just talking about two sails, the jib and the main. The helmsman is the best person to tell if the sails are balanced, because if the sails are not balanced, the helmsman will feel the boat wanting to either turn to the wind or turn away from the wind, especially when a wind gust occurs. If the boat wants to head into the wind, which is common, the main should be adjusted in such a way as to slightly decrease the load or force exerted on it. This can either mean flattening the sail, or it could mean sheeting out the sail a bit. If the boat generally wants to head away from the wind, try to first optimize the main to carry more load by either sheeting it in or creating more draft in the sail. I generally prefer to conduct these minor adjustments on the mainsail to get the most out of balance, but it is also an option to adjust the forward sail as well. Usually a combination thereof will get you where you want to be. By improving sail balance, you decrease the need to fight the boat to get her staying in the same direction, and subsequently decrease the friction you are artificially creating in the water by using the rudder continuously. And as I said earlier, it'll end up acting like a brake and slowing the boat down. So let's review these tips for good helming. Pay attention to these 5 things. Landmarks on the horizon, boat speed, compass heading, apparent wind direction, and apparent wind speed. Avoid conversations with crew members involving eye contact. Remember, the boat wants to turn where your eyes are looking. Create a mental game around achieving higher boat speeds given the conditions. Account for factors such as leeway and wave action. Increase hydrodynamic efficiency with good sail balance. I hope you got something out of this video. If so, please press that like button now. I want to pay a special thanks to my subscribers. I really appreciate your support. This is Sailor Eric. Thanks for watching.